managed to get their voice working?
Oh, do you hear me?
Yes, I know
Yes.
Victoria, though, said she was having a problem, and Nick said they were having a problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get started. I'm sorry for the delay, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, if we can just, everybody rise and say the pledge, I'm sorry. As I have my handy dandy flag. I pledge allegiance
to the
To the
flag
flag
of the United States of
States
America,
of America,
and
to the
to
to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
Stand
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
to God,
indivisible, with liberty and
justice
justice for all.
for all.
everyone, and welcome to the January meeting. I hope everybody had a very happy new year, and I hope the new year brings everybody good luck and success. I want to officially call the meeting to order and take attendance. Brooke, from my view on my phone, I can't see everybody. Is everybody here?
We are missing someone from Councilmember Hank's office and Councilmember Carr.
Okay, all right, let me just shoot them. See, this is why I need both my phone and the computer on, so that I can go and I can text them as we are.
Would you like me to call Elena?
Could you please?
Sure.
Okay, all right, so Brooke was kind enough to send everybody a copy of the minutes from last month. If I could just entertain a motion to accept the minutes, please.
Accept the minutes.
Jerry first, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, Rob second. Okay, so Brooke is trying to get everybody, she's trying to call, let's see if we can just get the council people on staff before we get started. Just give it another minute and then we'll go into DOT's presentation. Any luck, Brooke?
Yep. Elena said she is hopping on right now.
Okay, great.
Sorry, Matthew in the office said Elena is hopping on right now, to be more specific.
Okay.
Any luck from Councilmember Hanks? Would you like me to
No,
call?
I did not get a response back yet. As soon as we have Elena on, then we can get started, and I guess they can log on when they get a chance.
Sure. Victoria, do you all have a presentation this afternoon?
I'm so sorry.
Yes. I can pull it up, or Kyle, if you want to pull it up.
No problem. Whichever you'd like, I'll just make you the presenter when you're ready.
Yeah, I
Make
can.
Kyle the
Sorry,
presenter.
here.
Yeah.
Hi, Elena. How are you?
Very good, Marie. How are you?
Okay, so as soon as DOT is ready, we will turn the floor over to them. They will be giving us a update on the open initiative.
Thank you. All right, I'm sharing my screen now. Of course, someone's calling me. So hello, everybody. I'm Kyle Gorman from the city's Department of Transportation. I manage the Open Streets program here at DOT, and I focus on all open streets across the city. We have a little over 200. We had a little over 200 locations in 2022, and definitely looking to add more in 2023. So I'm just going to briefly go over all the great work we were able to accomplish last year and what's in store for 2023. So we had a handful of open streets on Staten Island this past year. The most notable ones were on Minthorn Street, on Water Street, and I'm going to mess up the name of the street, but it's a school. It's like De Suis School, or De Suis Street. They have
And Tottenville High School.
Thank you, thank you. They also have an open street, but like I said, we've been doing a lot of great work. We kicked off the season with Car Free Earth Day on Minthorn Street in Staten Island, working with some of the businesses there, as well as the Staten Island Chamber of Commerce. We worked with the Van Duzer Civic Association to do 2 separate months of open streets on Water Street in Stapleton, right adjacent to the park, bringing a lot of great new activities and games, and especially more like family friendly and kids activities as you see. But throughout the city, we were doing a whole number of different types of open streets around the city. And when a street is designated as an open street, it really allows for a number of different types of activations and programming and new types of things to take place, as is the case here on the screen. They've done movie screenings, we've had the circus, we've had connecting folks to different types of city and state services, outdoor dining, everything and anything really takes place on an open street. Here you can see on Smith Street in Borough Hill in Brooklyn, seeing a lot of the businesses on the street expand their outdoor dining setups temporarily when the street is closed, and having outdoor dining, more space for people to walk and bike, and of course support businesses. Just a separate note for everyone to consider is that we released an economic report this past fall that really showed that open streets are actually really, at the end of the day, good for business, especially for restaurants and bars. As a part of the study, which I'll link in the chat after the presentation for you to take a look at, we found that open streets, when compared to control corridors, fared much better in terms of taxable sales revenue, number of new businesses that open, as well as businesses that were able to stay in business during the pandemic. So like I just said, open streets really is not only great for the community and for the city, but also for our economic recovery and economic development. Another fun activation, teaching kids how to skateboard on Underhill Avenue in Brooklyn. We have a whole public space programming initiative where we work with partners to add all of these vibrant layers to open streets. So looking ahead towards 2023, the online application is now live. Everyone is required to apply via the online application, which is found at nyc.gov/openstreets. It's a pretty simple application for new and returning partners. New partners fill out a full application, returning partners fill out a streamlined, quick application using all their previously entered information. Thanks to a really incredible investment by this mayor, there's more support for our community partners than ever before. We're really encouraging all types of partners to apply to Open Streets, regardless of their experience, capacity, or really anything. We will work with you and right-size the level of support to make your open street a success. And like I mentioned in the previous slides, we have a lot of different layers that we can work with you on and add to your open street, like programming, concessions, outdoor dining, and different types of activities. Really, as Roseanne said at the top of the conversation, we are here to serve the public, and we're here to serve our partners. This is a partner-oriented program, so just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are really here to help our partners navigate and implement open streets throughout the season. So just a little bit deeper dive into what's on the table. We have funding up to $20,000 for partners that's scalable based on the number of blocks, days, and months that the open street takes place, as well as whether or not it falls within an equity geography set forth by the streets plan. Through a partnership that DOT actually has with the Horticultural Society of New York, which is a longtime partner of ours, we can actually provide a full set of operational sanitation and horticultural support at up to 30 sites across the city. So far, none have received this particularly valuable resource in Staten Island, but I would love to change that in 2023 because, like I said, this is very valuable. This really enables low capacity partners that maybe don't have the staff or time or capacity to put up barriers and figure out all the operational details, but they know that they want to do some really great programming or activities or some sort of event. We can sort of create the venue for you to do so and provide a lot of operational support through the HORT. So really exciting that we have that new layer this year too. We of course work with a number of other city agency partners and nonprofits on other types of grant opportunities and other types of operational resources and support that come up throughout the season. I previously mentioned we also have a public space programming initiative. This is a new initiative that launched in 2022. Effectively, what we've done is create a catalog of over 100 different types of programming providers, everything from pop-up library carts to the circus to yoga classes, skateboarding, connecting people to housing support. Really anything and everything is on this list, and it's a really great planning tool that our partners can use their own funding or the funding that that we provide to them to fund these programming and activity opportunities on open streets. So that's a really great programming tool that we're looking to scale up in 2022. There's also an opportunity to add short-term concessions as a layer to open streets. So if you wanted to host like a maker's market or a fresh fruits and vegetable, like a green market on an open street, that's totally doable through our open streets program, our short-term concessions program, I should say. And then, like I just said, we're really here to work with you to providing technical support and guidance, brainstorming, and really advising on the best practices to make sure that your open street is a success. There are three main types of open streets: limited local access, full closure for schools, and the full closure. Predominantly in Staten Island, we've only seen the full closure schools and the full closure type of open street. The full closure schools replaces the Play Streets program, which has a nearly 100-year history in New York City. So we're still working with the Department of Education as well as private schools to make sure that they're aware of this update. But if you do know of any historic play streets that have been around for a long time, you should just communicate to those entities that open streets is the way that they should apply, and we'll work with them in the long term and hopefully evolving these corridors. And the other type is the full closure. That was basically what we do on Minthorne Street or Water Street, where the street doesn't have any parking or vehicles except for emergency vehicles, and that's where we see programming, activities, outdoor dining, markets, and so on and so forth. The limited local access type of open street is a bike and pedestrian priority street, but it still allows for local vehicle access and parking. The closest example that there's not on Staten Island, I'll mention, but the closest example that maybe in your travels you might have seen is on 34th Avenue in Jackson Heights, Queens, Berry Street in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or Avenue B in the East Village. Truth be told, I would probably push people on Staten Island to focus more so on the full closure schools and the full closure type of open street, because it just might be a little bit more feasible given what the public space needs might be for the borough. But happy to talk to any partner about these types of open streets if they're interested in applying. One other thing I wanted to note on in the presentation is about community board and elected notifications. So DOT is currently receiving all of the applications. Partners have up until January 31st to apply for an open street that will launch anytime between the spring and June 30th. Ahead of us formally approving an application, we give community boards and elected officials 30 days to offer comments, suggestions, feedback, ideas on an open street, and with the caveat that, you know, we are working collaboratively together to improve this open street and promote the use of streets as public space. If there were any persistent issues that happened after an open street is approved, we would then come back to the community boards or elected officials to brainstorm, debrief, and problem solve. We do retain the right to remove an open street if these problems continue to persist, but we want to make sure that our partners are given a chance to at least try something, but honoring the fact that we need to include community boards, elected officials, and sort of the wider public at large. You'll continue to have the ability, community boards will continue to have the ability to offer comments on SAPO permits and other permitted events like that. So that will remain the same. So that's a little bit about the community board notifications and elected notifications. Expect to probably receive these, I want to say, sometime in probably very early March. They'll be shared via Roseanne and Victoria and the rest of the Staten Island Borough Commissioner's Office. So more to come on that in the coming months. Like I said, the online application is now live at nyc.gov/openstreets. New partners fill out the full application. Returning partners use all of their previously submitted information to apply for a quick and simple one. Like I said, we are really encouraging all and any partner to apply. We want to work with you to make this a success and make our Open Streets program the biggest it's been to date in 2023. We have a lot of resources on the table to make this even better than last year and the year before that. So really looking forward to working with all of you and more community partners across Staten Island on Open Streets in 2023. And that is actually the conclusion of my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions or comments you have now.
Hi,
Hey,
Kyle.
Kyle,
I
I
have,
have a question.
Great.
So,
hold
hold
on.
on, I'm getting an echo.
So just a quick question. Why are we getting notification after the approval? Shouldn't we get notification ahead of time, and not even just necessarily us, but the borough commissioner's office as well? Like, what if there is a location that we know is really going to be a problem and everything like that? It just seems counteractive to be told after it's been approved and everything.
I'm sorry if I misspoke. It's approved like in the internal city agency world, but it won't have been implemented or anything will have happened. So we would look to you all for those comments to know if something's dead on arrival or et cetera, et cetera.
Basically, we screen the applications to make sure that it's feasible, because if we don't think it's feasible, there's no sense in even going to the community. So we screen them, then we go to the community.
Okay, that was my concern.
Exactly.
Okay,
Question. I have a question.
yeah, Jerry.
In the past, have community boards throughout the city rejected a proposal that you had already said was a good idea and you followed up on the community board's wishes?
So we just started doing, obviously 2020 and 2021, things were very different in our city, and we formally rolled out this notification process in 2022. It didn't necessarily result in the outcome as you described. We find Open Streets and streets in general to be our most nimble asset, so we can really work with the community at large, our community partners, people on the block to right size the level of open streets. So I can't think of any one situation where we were able to not find a common ground.
Okay, because it's important. You may be making people in a particular street or area very happy and content with your analysis and your proposal and your acceptance. But the community boards, which have the responsibility throughout the city, deal with a much larger scope, much larger aspect of the community, and a particular street or area may have an adverse impact. So we just want to be able to feel like we can participate in this, not to stymie something that's very creative, not to stymie something that's making the city tax money, et cetera, but just that the community knows that they do have, in fact, input if they feel there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think we echo that sentiment. I would say generally working on Staten Island through Open Streets, it's been a pretty positive experience. Working at the block level with the community board, elected officials, and our partners. I think we're completely in agreement with you. We definitely want to have very nuanced details, but also want to get the bigger picture that like community boards, elected officials could provide.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And just to sort of piggyback on that, a little bit of a background is that when we started this project, this program, Missing the Open Restaurants program, this was, basically a reaction to the COVID lockdown. And so I was part of that rollout for these programs back in 2020 when the pandemic had just started, and we needed a way to get people out there so they can safely walk in outdoors and not have to be inside where they needed masks and they were afraid of getting COVID. Same thing with the open restaurants. We did that as a way to keep these restaurants in business and give them an opportunity. That's a whole nother topic. But so that's the history of this. So as Kyle said, as we go along, we're nuancing the whole process, the approval process, the way that folks can apply for this. So it's kind of, as we go along, we're learning from previous years and we're improving. So did I say that right, Cal?
Perfect.
Good, good, good. So, and we may be changing things even more next year to make it improved. But this was done in a very quick process when it was first implemented because of the whole pandemic. So,
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other board members have any comments,
Yes,
questions?
Rob has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. So just two questions. Once the permit is approved, how long does it last for? Or does it need to be renewed annually?
It has to be renewed annually.
Annually, okay. And once a permit is approved, do the normal criteria regarding noise and occupant and traffic and all that stuff kick in for the open street function that it's approved for? Are there hours of operation for people that live on the fringes that hear bands and noise and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, all of the standard laws related to quality of life still, exist in New York City. So if someone was doing amplified sound without a sound permit, they're obviously beholden to the NYPD on those types of issues. Hours of operation, days of the week that are approved are all things that we strictly hold our partners to, so they can't deviate from that schedule. If they are, as you're sort of alluding to, creating wider issues in the community, whether it be related to traffic noise, what have you, we definitely address those as needed. And it has not happened on Staten Island, but we have had to, in fact, remove open streets, not necessarily because the community board flagged XYZ issues, but because our partners were creating somewhat of issues with noise and, I don't want to go too far into the details, but you get what I'm
Yeah, I
saying.
hear you. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Anybody else?
I want to just reiterate one point also, what Kyle mentioned. Many of you remember the play streets from years ago. We don't necessarily call them play streets anymore, but this might be a good opportunity to do something like that. Kyle, didn't we do this around that school when they were doing some construction? The schoolyard was closed, and they wanted to make sort of an open street alongside their school on Decius and Kingdom, and to allow kids to be outside. We work with the property owners to make sure that they had access to their driveways so that there was no impacts on them. But this is the kind of situation that you may want to keep in mind when you know that there's a school where they're doing work in the schoolyard, or there's some other kind of situation where, that there's a community that wants to have, some access to the street where the children can safely play, or, something to that effect. Just let us know. And then, this would be something that you might want to apply for the next go around.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, thank you, Kyle and Victoria as well. Thank you, Commissioner, for coming and updating us. We appreciate it. Okay, moving right along to the rest of the board business. We did not have any correspondence this month. Does anybody have any old business to bring up? Does anybody have any new business to bring up? Okay, Rob, did you have new business to bring up?
No?
Okay, for new
Sorry.
business, I just wanted to welcome our new district manager, Joan Cusick from CB1. Joan comes with a long list of experience. I think most of us have worked with her in her past in her previous titles. Welcome, Joan. It's a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to work with all of you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. The board is here to assist you if you need anything from us.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so
Most part's been very helpful. Everyone, Community Board 2 and Community Board have been very helpful with Linda and myself, and it's becoming very nice the way it's working.
glad to hear it. Okay, so we don't have a presentation scheduled yet for next month. There are a few agencies that have expressed an interest. If, once we nail down one and if we find out if they're available, I'll let everybody know. So seeing no more new business, if I could just entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, Rob first. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jerry. Second. Okay, thank you everyone for attending.
Take care,
We will see you
everybody.
next month.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.